So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Business as Usual. This is Friday. I don't even know what month or day it is, but I do know that it's Friday, and I'm happy to see all of you because we are really going to have a good time in terms of wrapping this week up. This is Audrey Russo, President and CEO of Pittsburgh Technology Council. Joined today is Jonathan Kirsting, and he is all things media and storytelling, and he's been with the Tech Council for 2+ decades. I love saying that, Jonathan.
I like that too.
2+ decades. So I want to give, before we start, I'd like to just tell everyone that today would have been Bob Marley's 75th birthday. And we're just going to hear a few riffs from him, thanks to Esquire. So Esquire, you want to take off your mute?
Let's tee him up. Do I know? There.
Well, thank you, Esquire. Imagine what the world would be like today if Bob Marley was still alive.
Absolutely.
Right? So I want to give a shout out to Huntington Bank, thanking them for being our sponsors and partners throughout this entire journey. And they've helped many a company. If you don't know them, reach out to them because they're really diligent about trying to help small businesses and large businesses make sure that they have what they need to build their companies. So we're on our 143rd session. It's Friday. I think it's the middle of October, and it is beautiful out, but we are still here trying to keep the community tethered and connected and informed about all things that are happening that matter to the tech ecosystem as well as those who support it. And that's what we're going to hear about today. We've muted your microphones only to be considerate. And then on top of that, we do have a chat. And we are recording this session. So we know it's Friday and a beautiful day. A lot of people like to come back and listen to these sessions. So I'm gonna jump right in and say today we're hosting Chelsea Contino, and she is some of our friends at Neighborhood Allies. And you might remember that we partnered with them early on, I think early on in COVID, because they had the leadership and wherewithal to think about the digital divide. And with Aurora and Google, we made sure that they were out there getting people the technologies and tools they needed to stay connected during the beginning of the pandemic. We're going to get a little bit of an update from Chelsea on the program, but we're also going to have Chelsea introduce herself and give us the pitch. What's the pitch about Neighborhood Allies and now the Healthy Neighborhood Awards? So very excited about that because Chelsea is going to mention that we have two guests today, Julius Boatwright of Steel Smiling and Esquire Harris of Black Tea Brown Sugar. And they're representing 2 of the 7 awardees. She'll talk about the other awardees, and Jonathan Kirsting has already interviewed each and every one of the awardees. So stay tuned for that on our podcast and on our radio. So Chelsea, good afternoon, happy Friday. So glad that you're here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So let's talk. Who are you? What about Neighborhood Allies? Let's talk about these awards.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Chelsea Contino, and I am the Communications and Program Outreach Coordinator at Neighborhood Allies. And Neighborhood Allies were, just as a refresher in case you guys, it's been a while since we've been on, but we're a community development intermediary. And essentially our mission is to support the people and organizations who are working to create healthy neighborhoods. We do everything from real estate to small resident grants, to place-based projects with neighborhood organizations, to our digital inclusion work, which is what you guys helped us lift up really early on with our Beyond the Laptops initiative and getting laptops to students and families who needed them during shutdown. So a little update on that, that's still going really well. We kind of addressed the hardware issue. We tried to address the connectivity issue where we connected families that were left without internet with Comcast Essentials and paid for 1,000 of those. And now we're kind of moving on to the education aspect of that. And so we've just recently launched Level Up 412, which is we're partnering with a lot of different organizations to help bring people courses in everything from coding to cybersecurity to just the basics of, social media or just, running a device. So we're kind of really trying to attack those 3 pillars. So that's kind of an update about our digital inclusion work. So stay tuned for that. We'll keep updating people. And then,
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And so the Healthy Neighborhood Celebration, which is what we're here to talk about today, is really our trademark annual event. And its main purpose is to honor and celebrate those people who are building healthy neighborhoods. So, anyone making a positive impact, and we hold public nominations every year, and then we choose awardees. We have 6 awards. One of them is our Ally of the Year award, which we always do. And then the other 5 awards tie back to our Healthy Neighborhoods framework. And that's kind of our guiding framework that we use to do all of our work. And the Healthy Neighborhoods framework basically says that healthy neighborhoods have market confidence, they have a good quality of life for residents, they have a celebrated neighborhood image, they have true community ownership, and they have equitable development. And so that's our guiding framework, and each award has a specific award recipient. So this year we also added a 7th award, which is our 2020 Impact Award. And that was specifically to lift up and honor a person or organization working to provide COVID relief directly or fight systemic racism.
So today we have 2 of the awardees, but can you mention the other 5?
Yeah, absolutely. So this week we started with our 2020 Impact Awardee, which is Chef Claudie Pierre and the EAT Initiative. Our Market Confidence Awardee is Cocopreneur Pittsburgh. Our community
Camille.
Yeah, Camille Scantling. Our Community Ownership Awardee are Kevin Alton and Martell Hedge. They're members of the Beltshoover community in the Hilltop. Our Life Awardee is the Community Empowerment Association located in Homewood. And our Equitable Development Awardee is the Hill District Federal Credit Union. And if you guys have specific questions about those awardees, I can talk about them too.
That's great. So thank you. So how did COVID affect the awards this year? And what are you doing to ensure that there's a lot of visibility for these 7 awardees? I know that part of the plan, and I just want to give a shout out to Jonathan Kirsting. I mentioned earlier that he's had interviews with each one of these awardees. So the first podcast I think has been released with Chef Claudie, and a new podcast actually drops every Wednesday. So we're excited about that. What other things are you doing?
Yeah, so this is an annual event. This is our 4th year doing it. Typically, we have a big celebration at the Carnegie Museum of Art. We gather with community members, the awardees, and really just have a really awesome award ceremony. But COVID, obviously made it so that we couldn't hold an event like that safely. And so we threw around the idea of having a virtual event that we can tune into, but we really just came back to, we wanted to distill it down to the most important part of these awards, which is the awardees, and all the focus should be on them. And so we decided to have a full digital media campaign where each awardee gets their own highlight week. And so we just kicked off this past week with Chef Claudie and the EAT Initiative. And the podcasts are a huge part of that. And I can't thank Jonathan and the Tech Council enough for doing that. In addition, we're doing things like special articles outlining the awardees' work. We're doing social media videos. We might do some Instagram takeovers, just a whole host of everything we can do on social media. And then we're also, the biggest thing is on Fridays on our social media platforms, we'll be releasing their awardee highlight videos. And so we have videographers that go out and film these awardees doing what they do to really lift up and show how great they are and the impact they're making. And so that will be released every Friday on our social media platforms, typically at noon. But today I did push back the release until 12:30 so that after this, you all
Nice.
can get out
Very
there.
cool.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. So can I now bring Esquire Harris to get the sunshine here? So you have an awesome story. Jonathan's told me a little bit about it. You opened up a media center in McKees Rocks. Tell us, what inspired you? How are you doing? What's next?
Primary to give the community a voice. My driving force is to make sure people that are unheard, people that have questions, that need resources, can have a way to get those resources, and that's our primary goal. A lot of connecting with the youth here in the McKees Rocks area, providing them opportunity to express themselves outside of hatred, outside of anger, outside of the normal ways that they've been taught to express themselves. Giving them a way and a way to express it positively has been one of the biggest driving forces for me. We actually had some kids come here last week, and I was talking to the girl, and she was saying how hard her life has been, and the guy was saying how he's tired of fighting, and he only fights because they ask him to fight. And I was like, what if you walked away? What would happen? He was like, oh, I don't know. I never thought about that. I was like, yeah, what if neither one of y'all want to fight? Why don't both of y'all walk away? He's like, I don't have anything else to do with all this energy. He's like, I don't have anywhere to grow. I don't have anything to do. And I let them come to our studio, and I let them take pictures of each other. And I let them edit. I showed them how to edit it, and I showed them how to do it. And they made like an incredible picture. And you can see how much that meant to them. You can see how much to create something that they had no idea they can create. I'm not just telling them what they can do. I'm providing an opportunity and showing them what they can do. And because I can show them what they can do, you can just see their creativity begin to be like, whoa, what else can I do? Like, can I do anything else besides selling drugs? Can I do something else besides playing football? Can I do something else besides fighting? And that's the presence that I want to provide. That's the love that I want to spread. And that's the constant journey of healing that I want the community to be in.
Esquire, you've got a great story as to how you found the space. You got to tell us that, because I think it's so cool.
Yeah, how did you find it?
Oh, I was actually just dropping somebody off, and I seen it, and I was like, I should probably just go check it out. And I ended up talking to the whole network in general. Just started off as just like a podcast. Like, we were just doing podcasts once a week, and just we had to stop doing the shows because of COVID, but we used to do 3 or 4 weekly shows, and we just started spreading so much that we needed a place to begin to do it at, and then also just the resources that we have to be able to provide for the community. I just wanted a safe place for that, and this God just really it's just been God, man. This whole process has been nothing but God. My degree's in psychology, and I thought I wanted to have my own practice and be counseling people in a desk. Like, I had no idea that my purpose for the psychology degree would be more on this level. But the whole thing has been God, man. This whole journey has been God. Everything has just been God. It's God.
Well, let me ask you something. What is in the media center? So what kinds of resources do you have? You mentioned one example of 2 kids taking pictures, but what else is in there?
So we have the room I'm in now. We do like podcasting. So we have like a bunch of podcast mics, and I don't know if you can see it. Yeah.
Okay.
But we have this room specifically for audio. My office is where I'm able to let them come in, and we just have one-on-one counsel sessions, talk to them about things going on. We also have another section that's for producing, mixing, and editing. We also have a blue screen and a green screen room where they can play VR, but they can also take pictures and do videos, and then afterwards go edit it and add graphics and stuff to it. We have an outside area that I created that gives us, it's like a nice little patio deck area with a fire pit, so they can go back there and have some time to themselves. They need to recollect the piece. It's closed off and sealed off, so it's just for people to be able to have their privacy and be able to create or be able to just be themselves for a while.
So so the kids just drop in?
Well,
how do you
I was
run this?
connecting with a lot of the schools before COVID hit. The Homeless Children Education Fund. I did a lot of partnerships with them. Westinghouse School. I have a lot of kids that I've worked with because I did a few media workshops over there with them. But yeah, just kids in the community. I'm outside all the time in front, especially when they get out of school, making sure they're not fighting, making sure they're just getting love, just talking to them. Hey, how's your day going? That's what I had as a kid. When I left my house, my neighbor, Miss Plummer, made sure I was okay. When I got locked out of the house, Miss Plummer let me come in, made sure I did my homework, gave me some food, and when mama came home, I went home. And these kids don't have that. They don't have parents to come home to, let alone a neighbor to love them. And so being outside, just telling them, hello, hey, I care about you. Like there's one kid, he's like 7 years old, and every time I tell him I care about him, he look away because he can't look me in the eye and receive that. And he said because he doesn't believe it. He said nobody loves him. I was like, you matter to me. I was like, I want to love you. I want to grow it because I don't know him to love him. And me telling him I love him, he can't receive that because he knows I don't know him to love him. But I told him I want to love you. I want to receive you. When I see him, I speak to him. When he's hungry, I give him food. And it matters. It matters to these kids, man. Nobody cares about them. They feel like no one cares. And people sometimes don't know them to care. It's not even neglect. You don't know him. You don't know Bill to go outside and hug Bill. Bill is his Bill, and you're you. You have your own paths. But being able to be in this presence just right here where God has me, it puts me in an opportunity to connect with a lot of these kids. But right here by the school, right here by a school. If that's not more perfect, I don't know. I wasn't looking for this building. It just happened. It just happened. And I go outside and these kids know they can talk to me. They know I'm not going to molest them. They know I'm not going to try to mislead them. They know I'm not going to misguide them. They know I don't want anything from them or for them to have a better day, for them to do better, for them to want better for themselves.
Well, I feel better just listening to you, because that's pretty incredible. How do you get money? How do you get funds?
Uber and Lyft, and work and hard work. Yeah, I do a lot of Uber
So
and
is
Lyft.
there a way for people to contribute to you? To help you?
Yeah, I mean, we always accept Cash App donations, and we have a PayPal. I haven't really done much community fundraising because, again, this has been God. God has provided everything we've needed. We rent the studio out, so people do rent the studio out and book the studio, and with that money, it helps us keep things going. We have some awesome sponsors, so there's people that support us and that help us out. But I haven't really thought much about funding because
Well,
it hasn't
think
been a
about
money thing for me. I should, huh? It hasn't
Yeah,
been a
I mean,
money
you
thing for me. It's been an
you
opportunity
should.
thing.
You should. And there has to be ways that there's definitely by your story, there are ways that people are going to want to help financially, materially, virtually, whatever it may be. There are
Absolutely.
people who are going to want to help.
And I
So
receive that. I appreciate that.
yeah, and to receive that is really important. And that's part of why we do this right now. And that's part of why Jonathan is pretty active about making sure that the community is connected, because you are part of our community. Even though we're heads down working in tech and working in innovation and looking future for tomorrow, we
Right.
can't miss all these stories.
Right.
That's
Right.
how we got connected to Neighborhood Allies.
True.
So if there are ways that we can be helpful, because that's what we do.
All right.
So your story is really inspiring, and to win this award, you have to feel really good.
Oh,
But
man.
winning,
I told them, and it felt amazing. I was actually having a hard day when I got the email. So it was like, that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things that God always provides something that's a reminder, like, hey, you're on the right path. Because it was a moment when I was weak and I was down, and I was like, oh, people do care. This is awesome. This was amazing. And it was it's my grandma was telling me, she was like, I'm such a visionary that I'm always looking forward. And I'm always thinking about things that I have to do next and what's coming up next. That sometimes I have to learn to embrace what's happening right now. And that's what
right,
this award was able to do, is give me a chance to slow down and be like, and see the things that I'm doing. And not just what I'm doing, but the lives that I'm impacting. Like even my grandmother, like hearing my grandmother talk was like, thank you, Grandma. Like, wow, thank you. I didn't know I was having this impact on this 80-plus-year-old lady to make her feel this way. Like I was always focused on how much she meant to me. And even Ayana from the birthing hut, just hearing her talk about how my life impacts her is just like, it's like, wow, I had no idea. And the kids and the award, just hearing people, I'm learning to embrace, like you said, acceptance, learning to accept people being like, thank you for you're an impact in my life. Thank you. So I'm learning to embrace those moments.
it takes time. It's hard to do, particularly someone like you who's totally focused. So don't go away. We're
I'm
going to go
here.
to our next guest. Don't go away because we have got a lot of ideas, but I want to go over to Julius. Julius Boatwright, he's of Steel Smiling. And mental health is often ignored and stigmatized. And you heard a little bit about that from Esquire. What is Steel doing? Steel Smiling doing? And let's come to the forefront and what's going on during COVID, et cetera. Let's jump in.
Yeah, so we have,
Hi, Julius.
hello. So we have a Black mental health workforce development program, and we just graduated our inaugural cohort out in the Hilltop. So the Bells Hoover, Carrick, Knoxville area. So it's a 1-year program where a cohort of Black adults go through, and the purpose of it is to get them to become community mental health advocates. So to be able to support their own mental health needs and also to be able to support the mental health and wellness needs of their neighbors. So while they go through that program, they get weekly workforce stipends, emergency financial support, they get connected to mental health therapists, we make social service referrals, and they have a group of peers that they go through the program who can provide peer support to them as well. So we've been doing all of our engagements virtually. Our attendance is still as good as it can be. Folks are still engaged and getting resources and getting connected. So it's just been phenomenal. And I have to give a shout out to Neighborhood Allies specifically. They're our fiscal sponsor. So over the past year, they have helped us grow exponentially. When you think about infrastructure, right? You think about board governance, you think about financial management, operations activity. So they're helping us take our programmatic impact and our organizational impact to the next level.
So Julius, what is your background? How did you get to where you are right now?
Yeah, I'm a licensed social worker. I went to Pitt's grad school of social work, and I have my own mental health challenges. I think that every single person has mental health, right? We don't all have mental illness, but 100% of us have mental health. So when I was younger, I dealt with my own mental health challenges. One of my best friends from undergrad at Pitt died by suicide. So that was something that was really compelling for me. And Esquire mentioned how his faith and how God played a part in kind of getting him to where he is. I just kept getting these reminders of saying, hey, here's where you're supposed to be at personally and professionally. So I was just constantly being called to the work of mental health, specifically within the Black community.
Wow. And so do the two of you know each other? Julius and Esquire, do you know each other?
Well, we know each other just from doing community work, but we haven't formally met. But it sounds like we may end up doing some work together.
It's real, isn't it? When you go through stuff and you start to see God manifest in those same ways, and you realize His purpose in what you've been through, it's a different stride, man. It's a different stride, man. I want to say I'm sorry that your friend committed suicide, but I commend you for using that as motivation, man. I love hearing stuff like that, bro. That's real.
Thank you.
So the two of you should definitely be working on some stuff together because it's all about these kinds of relationships that create expansion. So that's really amazing. So Julius, if people want to know more about the organization, what's the website?
So it's Steel, as in Steel City, STEEL, Smiling, SMILING, PGH.org. So you can learn more about what we're doing. We recently raised over $100,000 for our Black mental health fund. So with everything that's been happening with the economic crisis, with the racial injustices, with the pandemic, people were looking for an organization that was supporting the needs of the mental health needs of Black people specifically. We weren't even actively fundraising. Individuals and organizations just started donating because they recognized the need. So if folks want to make a donation, I would recommend first and foremost, you can connect with Neighborhood Allies and send a donation directly to them on our behalf. That would be the most efficient way to make a contribution.
So question for both of you, and even for Chelsea, if you want to jump in. So how can we get more people that, doing this positive work in these communities? And how, just putting the spotlight on these projects like these, hopefully inspire others to do the same. But also, I'm feeling the passion to try to just help these two. So I'm asking the bigger picture, but I'm trying to, understand. So what about from Julius and from Esquire? What do you think? Or if Chelsea, you want to jump in. How can we get more people? How can we create this engagement?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I mean, just watching Julius and Esquire, who haven't actually met in person, talk, it's like, yeah, we should be working together. I think
Absolutely.
collaboration is key. Just another example from our 2020 Impact Awardee, Chef Claudie, and the EAT Initiative. One reason that they did something amazing, they've given out over 50,000 meals since March to Pittsburghers. And like he always says, you can't do this work in a silo. So, he says we need to work with other organizations and other people. And I think that's one way we can get more people involved and more people doing this good work, making a positive impact, because the influence that other people have on each other, I think will help it. And I also think, like you said, putting a spotlight on these stories will also help, because people will be like, oh, look what they're doing. Like, I can plug into that. Like, I can help them. Or I can donate, or I can volunteer. And I think, like Julia said with his Black Mental Health Fund, it was literally just people finding that link to donate. They're like, I need to do something to help because stuff is so messed up right now. And there's that motivation. So when people know there's an issue, know there's someone working towards it, towards a solution for it, they're more motivated to plug in and help any way they can.
It's contagious. It's contagious.
Mhm.
I think about sometimes people can only do what they're exposed to doing. And if all you're surrounded by is negativity, and if all you see is negativity, that's all what you're going to do. That's all you're going to be, prone to do. But if you begin to see positivity, you'll begin to be like, there are other options. There's somebody that does not want to fight. There's someone that does not want to live in their mental health issues. There's someone that needs resources that just haven't had that exposure. So absolutely, things like this, like you guys, is like, you're clutch. You're bringing people like us together so that we can continue to spread the word and work, because we can't do it on our own. It takes a village. And if everybody's fighting together, man, what a hell of a fight.
Right. And that's what we look at. That's why Jonathan was so stoked about doing these stories, because he feels like it was open up his own mind, as well as sharing that to the entire community. So I'm listening right now, and I'm gonna pick up the phone and call Jonathan in a moment, because I have a couple of ideas.
Yep.
Because I'm never one without ideas, and I like to put stuff into motion. But I am very inspired by all this. I hope our listeners are as well. I know that those podcasts are dropping each week, and stay connected. If you want to know more about that, reach out to Jonathan Kirsting. He can definitely help you and help you stay connected. I'm sure he's got a zillion ideas. But we are here to just try to fan your flame. That's really why we're here and we're doing this. So my hats to Julius for the work that you're doing and the candor that you just had in describing your own issues. We all have our own issues. And I think you're right. The more we talk about that, the more transparent we are. We know that we're in this together. No one is that different. It's just different people have different access, and doors aren't necessarily opened for everyone the same way. So we're trying to kick those doors down in our own little way in the tech community. Jonathan does that each and every day. And everyone at the Tech Council really cares about this stuff. So we appreciate, Chelsea, you opening up the doors for us, because it's a two-way street. And so we really appreciate the opportunity for the awards. Thank you to Esquire Harris. Thank you to Julius Boatwright. We put the links out there. We're going to continue to shine the light. Thank you for Jonathan Kirsting for caring about this and telling these stories. We've only just begun. So on that note, I want to thank everyone for being with us today. It is Friday. I do know that. It's some date in October. I'm not exactly sure the date, but I would like everyone to stay safe, take care of your mental health. We all have our own issues and we're not alone. And if you don't draw inspiration from the two gentlemen that were with us today, I don't know how to help you, because there's no better stories than what we heard today. So this is Audrey Rousseau signing off. I'm going to try to go underground for 2 days and be back at it on Monday. Stay safe. Thank you, Jonathan, for your work.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you on Monday.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you, everyone.
Thank you.